Well, on your screens now, you can see an image of a huge crowd of people standing outside India's busiest airport, Indira Gandhi International Airport, stranded due to issues with multiple flights. A major crisis hit, causing disruption and shed light on the growing complexity and vulnerability of modern aviation systems. Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Dive brought to you by NewsX. You are watching me, Vineet Malhotra. Today we will take a deeper look at the growing issues with aviation systems and how it had affected Delhi's airport earlier this week. Well, to quickly take you through an overview of the timeline of what exactly happened, on November 5th, a technical snag in the air traffic control's automatic message switching system led to minor flight delays across several routes. The system is essentially the digital nerve center that routes flight plans and messages between pilots, ATCs and other airports. When it went down, controllers had to switch to manual processing, handling flight plans and communications the old school way, a process that's safe but much slower. On November 7th, the disruption in the air traffic control's automatic message switching system had worsened. Both the Airports Authority of India and Delhi Airport have issued advisories warning of widespread delays following the system's failure. The AMSS, which automates the flow of critical flight data and clearances, is central to keeping India's airspace coordinated and efficient. Well, with the system down, controllers had to rely entirely on manual flight planning and processing, slowing down operations and testing the resilience of India's aviation infrastructure. The impact had been significant. Over 100 to 300 flights were delayed, with major carriers like IndiGo, Air India and SpiceJet issuing alerts to passengers about possible disruptions. Operations slowed down across northern India, especially at busy hubs like Delhi, Lucknow and Jaipur, where flight coordination depends heavily on the automated system. While air traffic controllers had continued to manage flight plans manually to keep skies safe, passengers were being advised to check flight statuses before heading to the airports. The situation has once again raised questions about the backup systems and redundancy measures in India's air traffic network. And by November 7th evening, there was peak chaos at the airport. The numbers surged. Over 400 to 800 flights delayed nationwide, with several cancellations reported across major metros. Inside terminals, long queues, stranded passengers and mounting congestion painted a picture of complete gridlock. The air traffic control teams, still operating manually, worked round the clock to restore normalcy. Well, what began as a routine system glitch had now spiraled into one of the biggest air traffic disruptions India has ever seen in recent years. By late night, the Airports Authority of India announced that the automatic message switching system had been restored, bringing some relief after hours of disruption. IndiGo, India's largest carrier, confirmed that operations were gradually returning to normal, though flight backlogs and cascading delays are expected to continue into the schedule cycle. Finally, as of November 8th, Delhi Airport has confirmed that the situation is steadily improving. Flight operations are now running smoother and full normalcy is expected soon, though minor schedule adjustments continue as airlines clear backlogs and reposition aircraft. And after more than a full day of disruptions, India's aviation network is slowly getting back on track, a reminder of just how critical system reliability is in keeping the country's airways moving efficiently and safely. Now that we know the basic timeline of the situation, let's take a deeper look at what exactly happened. Nearly 800 flights were delayed at the Delhi airport after a major technical glitch hit its air traffic control system on Thursday evening, disrupting flight planning and causing a ripple effect across multiple airports. The issue originated in the automatic message switching system, a key system that supports the ATC's data network, forcing air traffic controllers to process flight plans manually. Officials described the situation as unprecedented, saying such a glitch has not happened earlier. The Airports Authority of India has said that flight operations at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport have stabilized after a technical fault in the automatic message switching system disrupted services on Thursday. In the statement, the AAI said that the glitch detected on November 6th in the IP-based AMSS system had caused delays in processing of flight plan messages for the air traffic control. Well, the system since has been restored and is up and functional now. The authority has in fact confirmed this. Well, the automatic message switching system is a critical part of India's air traffic management network. It automatically receives, processes and routes flight plan data, which is detailed information filed by airlines before every takeoff to controllers across the country. At Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport, which handles over 1,500 flight movements daily and nearly 70 per hour, the AMSS feeds real-time data to the auto track system. This allows controllers to monitor aircraft routes, altitudes and timings with precision. When the system crashed on Thursday, controllers lost access to automated flight plan data. Every flight plan, which includes routing, fuel, altitude and weather parameters, had to be generated manually, a process that takes several minutes per flight. With hundreds of aircraft scheduled every hour, operations slowed sharply. Well, the problem was first noticed on the 6th evening when ATC officers reported missing flight plan data on their terminals. Within minutes, controllers realized that the AMSS had failed, halting automatic message flow. The system stopped sending data to the auto track system. Since then, airlines had been preparing the flight plans manually. The biggest airport reportedly also for the first time experienced GPS spoofing, which also contributed to the severely affected flight operations. GPS spoofing happens when counterfeited satellite signals are broadcast to deceive GPS receivers, causing them to compute false position, navigation and timing data. Unlike GPS jamming, which blocks signals, spoofing feeds incorrect coordinates, making navigation systems misread the aircraft's real location. Well, such spoofing has previously been reported around conflict zones like the Black Sea and West Asia. According to recent data, GPS spoofing incidents have seen a surge of almost 220% between 21 and 24. Regions like Eastern Europe, the Middle East and South Asia saw the highest number of incidents. The International Civil Aviation Organization now treats GPS spoofing as a critical aviation safety hazard. This grave civil aviation incident in the national capital has sparked calls for an immediate upgrade of automation systems to align with global safety standards, followed by agencies like Eurocontrol in Europe and the Federal Aviation Administration in the United States. These standards include AI-enabled conflict detection and real-time data sharing to prevent mid-air risks. Amid calls for upgradation in the automation system, a question has been raised: what if these systems go down for longer than what happened in the past 72 hours? What are the options with airport authorities to tackle these technical snags? Is the question we're going to try and get answered from our experts who join us on the show. All right, Wing Commander S. Sudhakaran, former Indian Air Force officer, joins us on the show. Dr. Vandana Singh, aviation expert, also with us on the program. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, I'll begin with you. Well, this is extremely critical if you ask me. A lot of people feel that the next war or the next terrorist attack would perhaps not be a physical one. It could be routed through these channels. It could be misrepresented through the spoofing that I just spoke to you about. What do you make of this dire situation, which has been controlled at this point in time, but what will happen next time?
Thank you, Vineet. Let me tell you, if you think it is going to happen tomorrow, let me wake you up. It has already been happening for the last decade or so. Now, I served in the information warfare vertical under the Air Force. So we understand if you think war will happen only when bullets are fired, in the cyber domain, it happens by the second. There is a perennial war that is being waged. There are no friends in this territory. Even America attacks us because it wants to understand how solid your defenses are. As long as you are a power worthy enough of being probed, everyone will probe it. There are no friends in these domains. Let's understand that. Number two, India has been taking its cyber security aspect very casually. Way back in 2020, I had warned about the Starlink's, proposed impact into the country, the way that it can impact your future. They said we are doing something, but then now we have the government signing, going and sitting in cahoots with them. So that's one part of the story. The second part that I'm coming here is that it is not an AMSS failure. Let me put things in a certain perspective which you need to understand. The moment you have GPS spoofing at scale, which is happening at 60 nautical miles from an airport which is as dense as Delhi is, you're talking about a large number of aircrafts, having problems with its global positioning system. They don't know where they are. Add to this that your ILS, which is a Cat 3 system, that is under maintenance, and you are in winter, wherein the visibility is significantly low. When you add all these things together, the aircraft doesn't land because it is not sure as to where it is, and therefore it cannot keep its trajectory on a landing path, and it has to go round and round and round, which means the scheduled arrival and even departure of aircrafts are invariably affected. This means that the AMSS, which is merely broadcasting these messages, is not got the feedback as to what will it broadcast. It needs some information to broadcast. That information is dependent on an optimization algorithm, which will be dependent on the data based on what flights have landed and what is not, and what is in air. Now, there are more flights coming into your airspace. At the same time, the flights which are already in the airspace are not landing. You have ended into a cascade scenario wherein the ATC would have, I really understand what kind of nightmarish situation the ATC controllers would have faced there. If that be the case, then what we have seen is par for the course. So we need to address the root cause here, which is GPS spoofing, and that has been going on for the last at least 15 years that we know. It has been localized. Pakistan has been known to do it in the border area where there is some activities that is happening, because they obviously don't want to, because this countermeasure and countermeasure is a game that is being played by the armed forces ever since the Second World War. It's not a new game. But what we need to do is we need to ensure that we don't create single point of failures in the design. And that is what I come to see here. Because once there is a system that is being overwhelmed by a certain act, your standby redundancy mechanisms have not kicked in. Okay. Which means fundamentally this points to a technology design failure. This could have caused mid-air collisions.
Absolutely.
This could have caused accidents on the tarmac. And if the controllers in the ATC would not have dealt with this sensibly, I'm pretty sure we would have landed in a far more nightmarish situation. We already have a situation at hand wherein aircrafts are not being trusted because of the accidents that we have seen of late. So therefore, it is very, very important that the nation pays.
Yeah, I need to get Dr. Vandana into this conversation as well. We have a paucity of time. Dr. Vandana Singh, what do you make of this? There are a number of issues which are plaguing airport safety at this point in time. The air traffic control technology is outdated. It's redundant.
Thank you, Vineet, for having me on your
Can you
show.
hear me, Vandana? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, let me complete my question. There is outdated air traffic control technology, which is redundant, Vandana. There are significant staffing shortages is also something that is, easily known. Infrastructure deficiencies are also coming to light now. And when it comes to regulation, Vandana, there are oversights and gaps by the government as well, which is perhaps a disaster waiting to happen. And we got a glimpse of that. We just got a crevice to look into that keyhole as to what really could happen. Where are we lagging now and what can be done? This is airport safety, passenger safety that we are talking about. In a year where we've already had a crash.
Absolutely, Vineet. This is a very serious and a very critical issue. And it is extremely important that we come up with measures to prevent it. whether it is drills, whether it's actually going back to old school book style and doing this manually, whether it's drills, whether it's learning from the best in these procedures, which is basically US, UK, and Singapore, and how they adapt and how they manage this system, meaning having a duplicate server or a network of systems in another geographical area, which can immediately take over and avoid something like this that has happened. Now, again, coming back to what has just been discussed, it takes me back to December 24th, Christmas Eve. Was it last year when an Azerbaijan aircraft, which was scheduled to go to Grozny, had about 69 or 70 passengers on it, and due to GPS spoofing, GPS jamming on that side, it crashed somewhere near Kazakhstan, where 39 passengers perished and a few survived. Now, that is the extent of the seriousness when it comes to flight safety. Therefore, we need to take serious measures over here. It is not just, communication drills or, as I said, learning manually. It is also having backup systems, and backup plus backup. Backup has to have a backup. And normally, in countries like US, in countries like UK and Singapore, as I know and as I've seen, they have this at another location. Let's say this is the NCR region, and they have it one more, mesh of servers or a network of servers, which is basically this unit. And this immediately takes over. They have power backups, they have all of it. Now, we need to be having systems in place, and we need to be upgrading very quickly. We have the Noida International Airport opening up shortly, and we do not want any further disasters, as we are still dealing with the outcome of one disaster which happened on June 12th. So just by saying that this is a technical glitch and the AMSS system malfunctioned, and now that it's been sorted out, doesn't solve anything. A lot of work has to be done. This is still nightmarish as we speak, and I do know because I myself missed a flight today. It is very much nightmarish, and the Airport Authority of India, the DGCA, the stakeholders need to come up with proper backup plans and learn from the best in class who are actually following this. Over to you, Vinny.
All right, fair enough. Well, war footing is something that comes to my mind, Wing Commander Sudhakaran, when we look at the situation. What do you think the government needs to, in fact, prioritize urgently, considering the fact that there are more airports opening up in the vicinity of the NCR, but that doesn't change the problem. It doesn't change the challenge. Is money an issue, you think?
See, money is not an issue. Mindset is an issue. The problem is that there is a lot of clowns sitting in the technology space who don't know zilch about technology. They take it too lightly. They think that they can outsource it vendor with a 10% commission. That's how it works. And in mission critical system, at least they must avoid such things. I can very clearly tell you as a technologist, as a designer, as an architect, that there is gaping holes that I see in the system. There are single point of failures, which is what is cost to this. You go to the Air Force, imagine if your air defense is put for a second, the Pakistani missiles will be inside Delhi. That is the level of redundancy, reliability, resiliency that the Air Force builds in. If you ask me, we built it 20 years back. I was one of the architects of the Air Force network and the IACCS, which you saw in Sindoor. You know, we didn't allow a single drone to misbehave inside our territory. And you're talking about commercial airlines where there is money to be made, and this kind of a hole, this is absolutely unpardonable, because you can simulate these situations while you are designing it. We often ask these questions: what happens if this particular system fails? And actually, when we simulate, we actually put down these systems and observe these effects. And then we look at the cascade effects, we simulate it, we ensure that the systems are robust. See, it's nice to say that this failed and that failed and say, blame it on technology. But we live in an era wherein technology blame, you can't expect your WhatsApp to go down for 5 minutes. air systems, systems that are going to, guard mission critical equipments. There is no way that we can give. We are talking about a 99.99995 to 69 level of availability today. That is possible. If you can only invest, if you can only ascertain, audit, periodically you need to do an audit of all your system to ensure that what you have invested in is working. Half your CCTV systems don't work when you go for an audit. And we don't even do an audit. And when a crime happens, that's when you say, oh, that CCTV there was not working, so we are not able to identify the criminal. That can go in a street, not inside an airport where hundreds of aircrafts are operating, wherein today tens of thousands of passengers are traveling. The safety of our citizens should be paramount for the government. We need to take things far more seriously. We need to be accountable for the kind of talent that you're putting in. I don't think the quality of talent that should be sitting in decision-making process. You can't have a IAS bureaucrat who's doing fishing one day, coming into airline security the other day, and going into AI the third day. This is our problem. There are a lot of these guys who are sitting there who are screwing up our national missions big time. I take this opportunity to flag this. We need to get this right. See, there is no dearth of talent, but the opportunity given to talent is where the challenge is. We have put a lot of people who are appeasers, who probably, talk about what degree they acquired 25 years back without having hands-on experience into these domains. That's why these single point of failures happen. Because to build a system which is redundant, resilient, and to be able to be highly available, you need to spend the right kind of money. And there you talk about L1, there we talk about tendering systems, and there we compromise on cost and add to this the corruption that is there in the system. That is where the security and safety of mission critical applications suffer. And these are gaping holes. We can cover it up. We can say it was one system, me and you will forget it, probably discuss something else tomorrow.
Fair enough.
But next time may not be as easy as this. We've been lucky this time. We need to see everything with a pinch of salt.
Right. Vandana Singh, what are your thoughts on what steps to be taken now, considering the fact that India is always being looked down upon by its enemies. It's always under threat, from a number of countries who are looking to down our image as we struggle, to get through to 2047, where India is slated to be finally developed.
Absolutely, Vineet, where we have a vision of Viksit Bharat, where we are talking of Make in India, where we have a Udan scheme which has been extended by another 10 years, where we are talking about currently 94 operational airports and going on to have 250 operational airports. This cannot be the state of affairs. As we just spoke about the kind of jamming that just happened during and before Operation Sindoor near Jammu and Amritsar, almost 490 to 500 jammers and spoofing incidents that happened just during that period itself goes to show how important it is to have a secure, safe system where we have backups, and backups should have backups. We just cannot risk anything to chance. We are living in an age, in an era, Vineet, where we are surrounded, as you rightfully said, by countries which are not our friends. To put it very mildly, please look at the geopolitical space all over the world where spoofing is happening. Recently over Ukraine airspace as well, I think some presidential aircraft faced it. So the question is, this is real, this is happening, this is cyber warfare, and we have to take all cautions to ensure that this doesn't happen, and this can only happen if we learn from the best in class and have systems in place and the right subject experts.
Valid suggestions and perspective there. Thank you so much. We have run out of time. We have a paucity of time, but appreciate both of you joining and sharing your thoughts. We take a short break now. Be right back.